Today we're doing a very important video, guys. I've bought every single Parfums de Marly fragrance, so you don't have to. But of course I bought most of them as samples because I am broke. Let's get started. As this is a predominantly men's fragrance channel, I went onto the men's side of the Parfums de Marly's website. I got all the fragrances there for this video. If you don't see any fragrances that you expected on here, I'm going to presume they're discontinued. If they're not on the official website, they're discontinued in my eyes. However, if you're a girl watching this, then you might still get a lot of value from this guide because a lot of girls like these very heavy, traditionally oriental smelling fragrances that Parfums de Marly offers. So you might enjoy this video, stick around. Parfums de Marly is one of the safest and best brands for that spicy, intense, oriental style of perfumery that has a lot of spices, a lot of vanilla, ambers. It's mainly going to focus on those kind of styles, but it also does have its fresh summer side as well, which I'll also go into in sort of a different segment of the video. Not only are their fragrances most of the time easily worth the money, they also perform fantastically as well. So if I forget to mention the performance of any one of these fragrances, you can presume that it has great performance. I think pretty much every single Parfums de Marly fragrance will get you at over 8 hours at least. Let us get started into this guide. We have to start off with the namesake of the brand, the big superstar here, Parfums de Marly's Layton. Now, Layton is the base, I think pretty much the best-selling fragrance of the brand. It is a very safe starter fragrance in here. It is their balanced, fresh apple pie fragrance. You got powdery freshness with an apple pie, floral, woody DNA. That is all beautifully balanced, unique, yet very safe and expensive smelling. So when people want to try niche fragrances, Layton is a safe option. You wear this as your signature scent in both autumn, winter, and also in the springtime as well. So it's a very good value for money fragrance you can wear most of the year round. You're going to stand out. You're going to be, I think, a very handsome younger guy wearing this, someone in their 20s, but older people can wear this as well. It is just a very safe and lovable DNA that I still think is a 10 out of 10. A lot of people say it's been reformulated. I don't think it's as strong as it used to be. I actually got a sample of the fragrance in the sample set here, and I'm getting now, before it used to be 14 hours longevity, I'm getting still 8 to 10 hours, which is absolutely fine. You know, IFRA regulations sometimes make these fragrances weaker, but I still think Layton is a 10 out of 10 fragrance. Let's stick with Layton and move on to Layton Exclusif. Now, Layton Exclusif is for the guy who wants to upgrade their Layton game, essentially. You're basically gonna get a more luxurious Layton that's more expensive, but it's not gonna be as versatile. So you're gonna get a more of an evening special occasion, really wanna stand out, really wanna grab attention with the Layton DNA, fresh apple pie, with now coffee and oud. So it's very creative here. It's very expensive smelling. If you don't know, guys, oud is one of the most expensive materials in perfumery in the world, about 50,000 pounds per kilo. So eye-wateringly expensive for real. But you know, yeah, the price you're gonna spend on here is gonna be worth it. I think scent-wise, I actually prefer Layton Exclusif to Layton, but just because of the lack of versatility here, I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10, but it's a masterpiece for sure. Like this, again, lasts over 14 hours. You're not gonna have an issue with performance. Oud is very expensive, but it's also a very long-lasting note. Sort of sticking with the theme of Layton, let's carry on. Parfums de Marly's Carlisle. If I would say Layton is Superman, I would say Carlisle is Batman. You're taking Layton, the DNA, and I feel like the perfumers have twisted it into a more dark direction. This is more expensive, and it's more expensive smelling in my opinion. If you're a guy in your 20s wearing Layton, I feel like the people in their 30s and up, a more mature audience would wear Carlisle. It has a very intense spiciness with a nutmeg, and it goes into very much this apple pie direction as well, but it's more sweet, dark, and brooding as well with the patchouli. It's overall still very sexy, and it's a loud fragrance. If you want a dark, masculine, loud scent that'll grab people's attention, then Carlisle is it. You're gonna get what you pay for this fragrance. 14 hours longevity, less versatile than Layton. So I think this is only gonna be autumn and winter time, day and night. So this is your cold weather only signature. I give it a 9 out of 10. Parfums de Marly's Herod. I've got my sample here. This is a fragrance that's one of the highest rated tobacco scents on Fragrantica. essentially what you're getting a very smooth, very smooth, 340% smoothness here for a date night fragrance. This is extremely seductive. Herod, I feel, is unisex leaning into the masculine side. I still would say it's a masculine fragrance, but I think anyone's gonna love this. This is a super romantic cinnamon, tobacco, and vanilla combination. It sort of gives off Spice Bomb Extreme, 1 Million Privé, and Zara's Rich Warm Addictive vibes here. It's not my favorite from the brand. I think, you know, it's gonna appeal to a certain style of individuals. And I feel that it's not as complex with its perfumery. It's quite linear is what I found, but it's very long lasting, 10 hours easily. A cold weather, date night, seductive scent, or just an evening scent in general. So it's gorgeous. I don't think it's one of the best from the brand. I think it's very much a personal thing. I would still give it an 8 out of 10 overall. So yeah, try it. You may or may not love it. And I think the 8 out of 10 also goes to the fact that, as I said, you can get a sort of similar DNA in cheaper fragrances, but I think Herod does do it better, so it depends on how much you want to spend for this kind of style of perfumery. Parfum de Marly's Pegasus. Now this is a fragrance I've always had several samples of. It is a very creative and interesting scent that I hate. It's got a very interesting metallic almond DNA, so it's metallic, almond, milky. It's got a very expensive ingredient in here called heliotropin, which gives it this very much almondy character. I like those aspects of this fragrance, but I don't like the fact that as it dries down, the vanilla in here just becomes super intense. This is a very intense vanilla scent. Some people will love it. I think, you know, some people have told me that they really enjoy this DNA. It gets them many compliments. You know, most Parfum de Marly fragrances are very safe for compliments, but you know, Pegasus really works for some people. I can't wear it that often because I just hate it. It's very strong. It's got medium to loud projection, 12 hours longevity, but the vanilla is terrible. It's a horror show. It kills me every time I wear this fragrance. So I like the creativity. It's expensive smelling. It works for some people. Overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I just can't wear this fragrance. So yeah, 7 out of 10 I think is fair. It's your cold weather signature, autumn, wintertime, day and night. Parfum de Marly's Pegasus Exclusif. So Pegasus Exclusif, I wasn't holding out much hope for this because I don't like the originals too much. What I've done here is I made a more expensive DNA, you know, similar to Layton and Layton Exclusif. They freshened it up, made it more woody. They've added oud in here. So they've toned down the vanilla, added Gaiac wood, which adds a sort of very mature woodiness to a scent DNA, sort of leathery, and has a bit of smoky character to it, and then oud as well. And I think that is exactly what Pegasus needed. Tone down the annoying sweetness, still maintain that creative, sexy, milky, metallic almond DNA that's very unique to the Pegasus brand, and they made Pegasus Exclusif. So now what have you got here? Now you've got a day and night signature that you can wear in autumn, winter, and spring. They have done everything right with this DNA. They've done the modifications that it needed. It's very expensive smelling. I think a really rich man wearing suits all the time in his, you know, I think if you're 25 and up, you will rock this really well. You will be wearing a masterpiece. I think as a cold weather signature or a cooler weather signature, this is very hard to beat. 12 hours plus performance as well with a soft to moderate projection. So my original Pegasus rating is 7 out of 10. I think Pegasus Exclusif is fantastically done. I give it a 10 out of 10. Really surprised me, but honestly, I think I would be happy to buy a full bottle of this. So I think I very likely will. This is going to be on my buying list, Pegasus Exclusif. The hype is real, guys, and I recommend you try this. Parfum de Marly's Haltane. This was originally released as a Harrods exclusive, which is one of the biggest department stores in Europe and UK. And now I think it's readily available for everyone. So I actually tried it out when it was very newly released, and what I found is that it's very different to the usual style of Parfum de Marly. It is still spicy, but it's more mature, more suede-like, so it's less focused on the vanilla. It's got a bit of sweetness, but it gives it more of an intense and mature character instead of a more playful, laid-back vibe from fragrances like Harrods, Pegasus, or Layton. And also, I noticed that it smells very similar to Oud for Greatness by Initio Parfum, which is very interesting. So I think Initio is actually the sister brand of Parfum de Marly. I think it goes for a different style, a more Middle Eastern style. So I think this is Middle Eastern. It's a more mature, suede, spicy style of perfumery. It is Oud for Greatness, but I think they've toned down the sharpness and the edge that character has. So it's smoother, but I don't think it has as much character. So I think it's a good cold weather signature, but I think it's lame that I made a Harrods exclusive. You know, so you're going to Harrods to get an exclusive fragrance that no one else will have, but if you actually walk 2 meters down the same Harrods store, you can just get Oud for Greatness, which is very similar. So I don't like that they did that, but it's a great, long-lasting, mature man's signature scent for the cold weather. I would still go for Oud for Greatness personally, but this is still done very well. So I think it's Gaiac wood and suede instead of Oud. But it's still similarly priced, so I don't know. I feel like, you know, an Oud fragrance is going to be expensive, but this should be a bit less expensive, I think. But I think because of all those reasons I've said, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. It's not one of their best, but it's smoothly done. I would give it an 8, but if it wasn't for the fact it's so similar to Oud for Greatness, you know, I would give it an 8, but I'm going to put it down as a 7 out of 10. Parfum de Marly's Shagya. I think I've pronounced that correctly. Shagya? Shaggy? I don't know. This is a fragrance that's very clean, bright, citrusy, with some bright spices, so like pink pepper. That is obviously going to be a more mature man's fragrance, I think, when you smell this. This is a mature, simple, clean, woody scent that I would still say this is more a cold weather signature. They say there's oud in this fragrance. I am not convinced personally, just a personal opinion. I'm not sure there's oud in here. I think, again, it's probably Gaiac wood. It's a long-lasting woody scent that has a slight Middle Eastern vibe to it. It's very mature, simple, clean, linear. I think it's one of the weaker scents from the brand, and I personally would give this a 7 out of 10. I'm not surprised that the fragrance community doesn't talk too much about this one. Parfum de Marly's Godolphin. This is Parfum de Marly's, I think, only leather fragrance that they have, and essentially it smells very similar to Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. It is smoky, high-quality, smooth leather perfumery with a hint of raspberry. It's got some fruity berry notes in here. And if I compare this directly to Tuscan Leather, I would say this is better blended, it's smoother. However, the fact that it's essentially a bit of a clone fragrance here is a bit disappointing from the brand. That's usually very creative. I would say if you really love this leather kind of DNA, that's Tuscan Leather DNA, then fair enough. If you want to get the best of the best, I think this works very well. However, personally, I still wouldn't see why I would get this over something like a Ressasi's La Yucca One, which is Tuscan Leather for 70, 80 pounds, about half the price. So yeah, it's difficult to say, you know, go for this, but this is very long lasting. It's medium to loud projecting. This is definitely a head turner, especially if you're a guy who wears leather jackets. The sexy, smoky DNA. I still think it's very good. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Cold weather signature only. Parfum de Marly's Oajan. Now, this is basically Layton, like that sort of DNA of Layton and Carlisle, the apple pie, and that's it. They've taken the apple pie, those fragrances, and made this full gourmand. They haven't tried to make it darker like in Carlisle or make it more fresh, aromatic like in Layton. They've just gone full gourmand in this scent, and it smells gorgeous. For like a very sweet, decadent, seductive scent, I prefer this over Herod personally. It doesn't have apple in here, but to me, it really does smell like an apple pie fragrance. I thought I was going crazy, but other people in Fragrantica agreed with me. It literally smells like an apple pie. Cinnamon, honey, vanilla, gorgeous, decadent, intense, opulent, cold weather, nighttime is how I see this fragrance. And I think if you want to really seduce someone in a date, this will be the one to go for. This is one of the best gourmand fragrances I've ever smelled. It's not cloying, it's not annoyingly sweet, it still has some balance to it. So overall, I'll give it a 9 out of 10, one of the brand's best for sure. Parfum de Marly's Byerley. Byerley? I don't know. This fragrance should be discontinued in my opinion. I really do not like this. And I think it's the opening that's the main issue. It smells like barbecue flavor crisps or chips, as you Americans would say. It's very impressive how they recreated that, but I literally wore it several times and that's all I get. It's long lasting, it gets more smooth, sexy, the spices work better on the dry down with this fragrance. It's a mature, woody, Gaiac wood, again, fragrance with a lot of vetiver in here as well. So it's got an intensity to it. It's got performance, mature man's cold weather signature, but I just don't think it's well blended. It's challenging in the worst way possible, not in a good way. And so I think it's, you know, one of the brand's weakest, honestly. I give this a 6, no, probably a 5 out of 10, honestly. Parfums de Marly's Kalan. Now this is a fragrance that I think got too much hate. It is an interesting signature scent, again, for autumn, winter, and spring. It's, again, now this has the challenge in the opening as well. The black pepper in here is very photorealistic. Sort of like you're opening your spice cabinets in your kitchen, it's gonna blast you in the face. But it's very interesting as well. I quite like it personally. I think it's gonna be an acquired taste, Kalan. You have a very intense, masculine, very high quality smelling ingredients in here. The blood orange and the black pepper smell very realistic, and it then becomes less challenging as it dries down. 10 hours longevity, smooth spices come here with a lot of vanilla as well. Overall, very well balanced, a good signature scent, good wearability, but it's definitely something you have to try before you buy. I would give Kalan an 8 out of 10, but I think most people, you know, might give it a 7, so I'll probably go 7.5. It really depends on your taste. So 7.5 out of 10 for Kalan, an interesting standout signature scent. Parfums de Marly's Habdan. This is a Middle Eastern take on perfumery, in my opinion. It smells very Middle Eastern. What I've done here is they created a woody signature DNA for the cold weather, autumn, winter, and spring. They've added some ambers in here. They've got myrrh, which is a very expensive smelling, sweeter note DNA. And they've also added, I think, some aquatic notes in here. It smells aquatic to me. And overall, it creates a very unique and a very pleasant and expensive smelling signature scent. Unlike some of the other fragrances here, you know, with all the woodiness in here, this could have been very boring, clean, simple, but those ambers in here just make it smell very sexy. And I think it's got some spices in here as well. And overall, you create a mature man's slightly Middle Eastern signature that lasts over 10 hours, soft to moderate projection. I think this is very sexy and overlooked in the brand. So I think Habdan, I would give this a 9 out of 10. Now we've done the cold weather or oriental spicy fragrances of the brand. Let's focus on the warmer weather summer signature DNAs that we have here. Greenley, Sedley, Percival. I'm putting all three of these together because I feel that they are very similar in their backbone. All heavy ambroxan fragrances, so long-lasting woody ambroxan scents that I feel that if you're a consumer, I feel the spicy DNA of the brand are, you know, these fragrances are better in general. I think summertime fragrances aren't the strength of Parfums de Marly, but they're solid scents. They're still long-lasting, which is important for this season. And I think you should only buy one of these, honestly, unless you really love them. But I feel like they all have so much similarity. You only need to really buy one. So starting off with Greenley, I feel like this is the green apple DNA of this ambroxan backbone of these fragrances. So very green apple-y, ambroxan heavy, fresh, citrusy. It's got heavy musks. To me, actually, it sort of smells like a shampoo. I don't use any shampoos these days, but you know, 100 years ago when I did, this would remind me of something like Head and Shoulders, you know, the green apple. And this fragrance sort of gives me an aquatic vibe to it as well. I honestly feel like this has a lot of similarities to Light Blue Intense, the women's version. So I feel like it's a lot of money to get a DNA that, you know, you possibly could just get it from that fragrance. I think, you know, men could wear Light Blue Intense women's. Greenley is still a masculine fragrance, but I feel like it's more towards a unisex size than these other two. So again, yeah, it's not the most masculine of the three, but if you love green apple, you want a shampoo vibe for some reason, you'll like this. It's very mass appealing. It's very, very likable still. I know I didn't sell it too well, but it is a very likable DNA. Smoothly done, long lasting, over 8 hours. I would still give this an 8 out of 10, but try before you buy it, before you spend that money. Sedley, I feel, has been more modern and more mature smelling. It sort of gives it off a blue fragrance DNA, fresh out of the shower, citruses. And the ambroxan here is paired with sandalwood, which is a very thick, can be very masculine and warm smelling note, giving it a lot of intensity to it. So I think this is the most masculine of the three, and the most modern smelling and the most mature. It's a great DNA. I swear this didn't last as long as it used to. I think you know, it got reformulated actually in a better way, where it's now longer lasting, 8 to 10 hours, soft to moderate projection. Very mass appealing as well, and I feel like maybe this is more worth the money than Greenley. So try a Sedley if you like it. I give this also, maybe, it's not the most creative DNA. I give this a 9 out of 10 actually. I'll give Sedley a 9 out of 10. It's a good summer fragrance. Percival has got me many compliments. This is essentially the Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce DNA, made more niche, more smooth, more expensive smelling. Aromatic lavender, citruses, a lot of ambroxan, very musky. So this is sort of like the 2008 fresh out of the shower DNA. It's giving a slight old school vibe to this, but it's still very modern smelling. Medium projection, lovely attention grabbing summer scent that, you know, I get 10 to 12 hours of performance from this. So it's annoying that it's a clone again of another popular fragrance, but between Legend, Fierce, and this is, I think, the only one of the three you should get if you want to do this DNA properly, in my opinion. So I still give this a 9 out of 10. Just because it got me so many compliments in the past. I used to wear this a lot, so it's very good. Then the last two summer scents, I'm going to start off with Parfums de Marly's Galloway. It's the all-white bottle that not a lot of people talk about, but I think it's a solid fragrance. It is now very different to the ambroxan, very transparent scent of those previous three, and now we've got more of a thick, creamy DNA. It smells like candied orange, mixed with white florals, mixed with some heavy, creamy musks in here. You get over 8 hours. It sort of gives off a fresh laundry vibe out in the summertime. It's creative, it's very nice. It's very difficult to get white floral DNAs for men these days. So I think it's a very good scent DNA. It's not going to appeal to everyone, but again, if you want a more heavy, dense, warm weather signature, the Galloway's solid. Try it out. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. And finally, Parfums de Marly's Darley. I was put onto this fragrance by watching one of Demi's videos where she said it's similar to Jean Paul Gaultier's Le Mal, and it is. It is Jean Paul Gaultier Le Mal, you know, that mint, lavender, vanilla, but instead of focusing on the vanilla so much, they focus more on the mint and the lavender. So it's a more up top, fresh, aromatic version of Le Mal, which lasts longer actually. I get, what, over 10 hours of this fragrance. This is a very long lasting scent, but it does come closer to the skin after the first few hours. So it's a softer, moderate projecting summertime fragrance that's like a fresher take on Le Mal. Very minty, powdery, still a bit of vanilla in here, so it's still a sexy, unique DNA. I'm not sure if it's going to be easily worth the price. It's going to be a try before you buy, but if you want that sort of approach to your summertime signature, you love Le Mal that much, then you'll enjoy Darley. Overall, still a solid scent. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. And that concludes the video, guys. Did I miss any other Parfums de Marly fragrances? I don't think so. I hope not. What do you guys think of these fragrances? I'm sure a lot of you have tried Parfums de Marly's offerings, so let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, guys, make sure to check out our Mancera buying guide that I did previously. It's over 40 minutes long. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.